Welcome back, I'm Jester of the Retro Stars. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time and analyzing it as we go. We have just learned the Minuet of Forest, which reminds us that the memory of past beauty can help bolster us against present suffering. And in that sense, the past is a good and beautiful thing. We're going to continue talking about the past, but we're going to look specifically at the past as a mysterious and terrible reality. Here in the Forest Temple, Link is encountering... I cannot make that jump. Link is encountering our first temple, as opposed to the childhood dungeons, which, as we already talked about, are sacred spaces. But here is our first actual humanly constructed religious environment that exists to orient the cosmos according to some conception of the sacred. As we'll talk about... Oh, please make this jump. Hold on. I'm gonna... Here we go. As we will talk about, each of the temples in Adult Link's section of the game present the sacred in a different light. They draw out different aspects of the sacred. We talked about the sacred as this kind of nebulous reality that has to do with like our highest value. It seems to point towards some fundamental reality that's hard to like put into words. So we're going to explore what even we mean by the sacred as we play through these temples, starting with talking about the ways each temple simply depicts the reality. The Forest Temple is going to emphasize the sacred as sublime. So we're introducing the category of the sublime, which can be described as an encounter, usually with some aspect of nature, that gives an individual this overpowering sense of the grandeur and terror and beauty of nature that makes human beings feel very small. So the sublime is... I guess it is associated with a certain terror, but also delight in the power of nature. It makes us feel small, but it also recalls us to the beauty of the world. A terrifying beauty that could destroy us, and yet we are not destroyed. The Forest Temple is all about the sublime. Okay. There are different things that, especially like romantic thinkers and artists will think about. Excuse me, sir. Okay, it's especially hard to do an academic lecture while fighting a bunch of Stalfos, plural. I don't know. Anyway, different things can evoke a feeling of the sacred. One of the big ones that the Romantics are really obsessed with is ruins, for several different reasons. The Forest Temple is this ruined place that seems like part temple, part art museum, part dungeon. Like there's a bunch of different stuff going on, but most fundamentally, it's a dark and ruined place that's crawling with ghosts and is slowly being reclaimed by nature. So ruins evoke the sublime for like several different reasons. First of all, because time itself is like, I guess, ruins make you think about the passage of time in a particular way, right? Like you come across this long dead civilization. You have this sense that, okay, people once lived here long ago, but now all that remains are the echoes of what once was. There's a sublime feeling of... Play the Song of Time, speaking of which. There's a sublime feeling of this infinite, unbridgeable gulf between you and them, these people of the past, and yet you are encountering them, right? So time itself is sublime because it's unknowable, it's vast. We cannot even fathom the endless stretches of time, before our own day and age. So ruins evoke the sublime in that sense. As we can see here, we're also in this courtyard that's slowly just being reclaimed by nature. That's another aspect of the sublime. Okay, I need to crawl up here, I believe. Do I? I think. Can I? I don't yet have my bow. So, if I remember correctly. Anyway, the idea of human civilization being slowly destroyed by nature. Like this courtyard is being overgrown by plants and moss and insects. Gives a sense of human limitation before the vast powers of nature. So as we're seeing ruins being reclaimed by nature, you know, you think of like moss-covered walls, think of these crumbling towers. We have a feeling of human beings' own, I guess, like limitations, right? It shows the foolishness of our pride in thinking a civilization will last forever. And yet here we see some place fall into ruin and being reclaimed by nature, which is a power so, like, you know, greater than the human individual. So that's another aspect of the Sublime. Okay, I got a key. I think that's all I need to do here. Yes. Now, okay, it's been a hot minute since I've read like Edmund Burke or someone like that, but I believe, is there somewhere else I need to collect a key? I want to make sure I don't go that way. I always make a mistake where I go that way, but then I end up missing a key. Okay, so that's where I come out later on. I think I'm good. Okay, so, anyway, it's been a long time since I've read, like, you know, I don't even remember Edmund Burke's time frame, 1800s maybe? It's been a minute since I've read a philosopher like that. Maybe it was 1700s, I can't remember. So, I am, rather ignorantly paraphrasing here, but I believe he speaks about two different types of the Sublime. There's a Sublime of magnitude and a Sublime of obscurity. We can think of time as the Sublime of magnitude. The Sublime of magnitude has to do with something that is so infinitely vast that it makes us feel very small and insignificant in comparison. Other examples of this in nature would be encountering a vast mountain landscape or a powerful waterfall, or, you know, the idea of like storms or natural disasters or something like that. Are you correct? Hold on. Is this right? No, it's back slightly too far. Okay. So natural phenomena of great force that make us feel small. Time can be that, like, we can understand time as that as well, because it's this vast, infinite thing that we can't fully conceptualize. The other type of the Sublime that Burke talks about, I think, if I'm remembering him correctly, maybe I'm just inventing these categories, I don't know, I don't think I am, I think I'm getting it right, but this is not me academically citing my sources at all. Anyway, the Sublime of obscurity. This has to do with experiences of, like, darkness, or things that happen that we can't quite understand. There is no clarity to a situation. So some examples of the Sublime of obscurity. I think the Forest Temple offers really good examples of this in its actual layout. So here we're wandering through this weird, cramped little maze that's very dark. We don't really know where we're going. There's these weird blocks with weird symbols on them. Like, we don't know how to interpret what is going on. Wait, there's a ladder that I need to find. Where am I going? Speaking of not knowing how to interpret. What have I missed? What have I missed? Where is it? Hello? There it is. Anyway, the Forest Temple, by its layout, shows this a lot. We have cramped hallways, we have weird mazes, we have a lot of darkness. So the literal obscurity, right? We're in this place that is like weird ruins that's full of ghosts and danger and things we don't understand and don't know how to interpret. That's yeah. That's the sublime of obscurity. I think other examples that we'll also encounter in the Forest Temple are things like dreams and dreamscapes, right? Like dreams evoke this weird, surreal reality that can be full of terror, but also a strange sort of beauty. So we will see, as we're exploring the Forest Temple, we're going to come across these weird, twisty hallways that don't actually make any logical sense. So the illogic of the layout of the temple is also going to support our understanding of this place as evoking all sorts of different aspects of the sublime. I think we're about to encounter one, actually. Okay. Come here. Jumping around. I do like using the Deku Nuts to flash bomb these guys or whatever. It doesn't... The Deku Nuts don't really do anything beyond that, but they're fun for this guy. Okay, here we go. So Navi's gonna tell us that the hallway's twisted. We have eyes, we can see it. It's weird and surreal. The gravity is changing, and then you come into this room. And Navi warns you about shadows of monsters on the ceiling. And you don't know what that means. And suddenly... Okay, good, I do wait, no, I don't have the key! Oh, no! Alright, I'm gonna probably pause and find the key again, but first... Okay. Listen to this. We hear the rustling noise, we see the shadow, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to run, I have to run, I have to get away from this thing. So the obscurity of these monsters, right, is terrifying. Part of the sublime, for sure. What key did I miss? Okay, I think I actually found it now. Again, I, first of all, am playing this game on muscle memory. Second of all, am visually impaired, and I just didn't use my eyeballs. This happens a lot, actually. One time when I was a good friend of mine growing up, we would play through the Zelda games. Once like Skyward Sword came out, we both got it on day one and tried to see who was going to finish it first. So we would always just like play Zelda together and talk about it and talk about the lore and stuff like that. Okay, I'm in a different location now. That's right. And he played Twilight Princess way before I did. I was late to getting around to that game. And when I played it, you know, I always, growing up, I would try not to use walkthroughs. I'm pretty bad at video games, so I would often resort to it. But sometimes I would just miss something visually and then be stuck forever. So one example was the Snow Peak ruins or whatever, where I had a very similar thing. There was a hookshot location that I just didn't see through the snowstorm or whatever. Anyway, that's what happened here. Okay, we're going back. This cistern, though, is cool and interesting because, again, this is an example of civilization that has gone to ruin. Like, this was once used for conveying water. And now Link just goes through this empty, dank hallway to get a key down there. Okay, fast forwarding to get our way back to where we need to go. Okay, and we are back. It has just started raining outside, which I feel really does fit with the gothic horror vibes this place has going. Speaking of which, another aspect of the Sublime is ghosts. We can see we've got these ghost guys. There's the 4 of them that we need to fight to get down to the boss. When we first enter this ghost stairwell, we see the ghost in the painting here, and we can see that she transports from painting to painting. We have no idea how to interact with her. In that sense, we feel really helpless right now. But as we see, the introduction of what we need to do here is really cool, because now we're about to fight more Stalfos, and we're going to get the fairy bow, which will allow us to actually figure out what to do with the ghosts here. Okay, but we got some ghosts and we got some skeletons. How do these evoke the Sublime? Ooh, hits hard. Forgot about that. He's also just kind of dancing over the pit there. There we go. They take 5 hits. And if you wait too long to kill one of them, and there's a group of 2, the other one, the other one will resurrect. So usually I try to hit you 4 times. There we go. Okay. And then go to the other one and we'll kill him, and then there's only 1 hit necessary for the next guy. Okay, anyway. Ghosts and skeletons. How do they evoke the idea of the Sublime? They are creatures from beyond death, which is a reality that we do not understand and tends to terrify humanity for all of human history. So to have these ruins infested with... Okay. Get him. Infested with these spirits, these wandering spirits from beyond the grave, that fills us with a sort of terror. Okay. I feel like I've talked a lot about the terrifying aspects of the Sublime, but the question is, how is the Sublime actually beautiful? If the Sublime is associated with the sacred, it seems like there should be some positive quality to it, and I think there is. I think when we encounter the Sublime, when we feel this overpowering, awe-inspiring sense of a world bigger than ourselves, we engage in a sort of healthy humility and awe before a world that is bigger and beautiful, like bigger and more beautiful than the individual self. Actually, I do like to use my projectile weapons on that sea stick specifically. And I think we see that in the Forest Temple. There is something really... Oh, okay, actually, this is another interesting thing. These 2 ghost stairwells are identical, so it can be really confusing knowing which direction you're going. And you kind of lose track spatially of where you even are in the temple. If you don't have the map, obviously, right? Like you can look at the map, but you have a sense of going deeper into this labyrinth of stone and moss. And the okay, shooting her. I feel like I need to sneeze. That is really unfortunate. I've not encountered that problem yet before. Where's the other one? Oh, I'm at the top. Okay. I'm thrown off. I don't want to sneeze. I don't want to figure out where the mute button is on this microphone. Okay, it's fine. What was I saying? Yes, so as you're like making your way through this labyrinth of stone and moss, you lose track of where you are, which is made doubly possible by the weird symmetry of these stairwells. Can you stop running away? There we go. Okay, one more. So there is... Wait, was that all of them? Anyway, there is a strange and mysterious beauty to this place. There's the calming... Not even really calming, it's very eerie music. I don't even know how to describe the instruments. But it's eerie, it's kind of otherworldly. It gives a sense of... Okay. Fighting you. It gives a sense of this place... Like the veil between the natural and the supernatural being very thin in this place. It's a... Can I... Oh, shoot. It's a thin place, like what, the Irish describe in, like, Celtic Christianity or whatever. Excuse me. That is a place where the veil between the natural world and the supernatural is quite thin. and you experience this numinous quality. I'll just shoot you. There we go. Talking about numinous qualities, and I'm just shooting this ghost in the face. You know, video game silliness, it's fine. Come here. Anyway, that sort of numinous quality coupled with just the beauty of the natural world, I do think there is something inherently beautiful about ruins. This combination of a humanly constructed place and nature taking it over again. Not even in the sense of like, oh, it's destroying human, like the human structure. Like it adds something to the human structure. These bricks here covered in ivy. There's just something beautiful about it. There's almost a synergy between the humanly constructed world and the natural world. And that I think is really beautiful, even as it makes human beings feel kind of small and powerless. I also do think the feeling of terror, or rather the feeling of being very small, doesn't have to just be about terror. It can also be about a certain holy awe and humility before something greater than yourself that is good, right? There's, again, questions about like whether or not the natural world here is benevolent. I think in the Zelda universe, it seems to be. So there's something really, I think, interesting about a way of thinking about nature as both sublime and good and loving on a fundamental level. There are questions about that, right? Like, can we think of nature as good and loving, or is nature just entirely indifferent to human existence? That's going to depend on your personal philosophy. But anyway, I do think with the Shinto connections, with some interesting like Christian connections, in general, the natural world in the Zelda universe does seem to be good and benevolent. And in that sense, the experience of the Sublime doesn't have to be this destructive, terrifying thing. It is also about delight in a loving universe that is grander than the individual. Okay. So, fighting all the ghosts, continuing to fight all the ghosts. Can you... Oh. There's a lot going on with illusions here as well, so I think that's part of the Sublime of Obscurity. The ghosts can appear and disappear. The fourth ghost, as we'll see, has a particular way of projecting her own illusions. There's also some interesting stuff about art, I think. Some of the layout of the Forest Temple evokes imagery of an art museum. Oh, we have the compass. Nice. In the maze room that we passed, there were, what are those things even called? They were the, like the rope railings that keep you from getting too close to a painting. Oh, I need to be going up. Wait. I think I might need to go around again. Can I come in here? I know I'm going to come up against... I think if I come in here, I'm gonna just come up against a locked door. In which case, I will just let the Wallmaster take me back to the beginning of the temple, and you can see how horrible it is. Anyway, why... Let's get my... Oh no, I have the Deku Nuts. Okay, so why the vibes of an art museum? Even this room here feels... Oh, yep, there's the locked door. Even this room here with the, whatever these things are on the walls, the paneling, the wood paneling and the pillars, it has this grand art museum feeling to it. So why the vibes of an art museum? What does that have to do with the feeling of the Sublime? I think again, it goes back to the idea of obscurity and illusion. Art is interesting in that it can inhabit an ambiguous reality. Because people debate whether or not and this has been debated throughout the history of philosophy, people can debate whether or not art points toward the truth of things or whether art ultimately obscures it. Here in the Forest Temple, a lot of it seems to be about illusion. The ghosts exist in these, like they can go into these paintings. Oh no. I actually don't want to get grabbed right now. I don't want to get got. That would be unfortunate because then I would have to go through the maze again. Run, 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 run. Okay, that was... We're fine. We're fine. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's fine. Oh my goodness, what was I saying? Yes. So, the ghosts can inhabit paintings. The aspects of the art museum are littered through this maze, this dark, cavernous maze. So I think we're thinking of, like, whether or not the art here is part of the illusion, part of the dreamscape, as it were. And see, like, you shoot this eyeball, and the room straightens out here. Again, like, dream logic. This is not how the normal world works, and therefore it doesn't operate according to normal rationality. In that sense, it puts a check on human rationality and gives us a sense that the universe is bigger than what our mind can conceive. What's the Shakespeare quote? This is being super pretentious. The thing Hamlet says to Horatio about, like, there being more things in heaven and on earth than you can dream of in your philosophies, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a Shakespeare scholar. I do like Hamlet. I love teaching Hamlet. I wrote an essay about Ophelia once, based on a single thing a student said to me that I thought was really brilliant. Anyway, Hamlet's cool. Okay, we're going on a tangent. And now, I love how interlocking this... I can't see. In general, but especially now. I love how interlocking this temple is. It's so well designed. I think that this temple is probably my favorite of the entire game. So whereas the last dungeon we went to was the worst one, oh, these are horrible. So this is basically what's hanging out on the ceiling in the weird, Okay, there we go. You get them all three at once, because if you take too long, one of them will just regrow and turn into another one. Anyway, the last dungeon was the worst one in the game, and this one is, I think, the best one. The way everything is just interlocking, there's such an incredible variety in the types of challenges and the types of locations you're dealing with. And it just feels like navigating the temple itself is a really interesting puzzle. Okay, where do I need to go? Oh, back up the maze. Back up the maze. We're just gonna fast forward this. Okay, so here we are. We need to shoot the eyeball again, and that'll twist the passage again. Again, like, this place is so interlocking. All these interweaving rooms and puzzles. It's really good. Anyway, thinking about the Sublime. Fantasy fiction in general, whatever the medium, in a lot of ways is all about the Sublime, like relies on the Sublime to a very great degree, I would say. Because what fantasy fiction intends to do is evoke awe and wonder at the world. Right? We're presenting a world that is bigger and grander and apparently like more meaningful and more enchanted than the world we usually experience in everyday life. The Sublime is a really good way to do that, right? You have characters encountering magic they don't understand, forces of nature they don't understand, facing challenges that are, you know, world-shaking and cosmic. So it makes sense, given how important the Sublime is for fantasy in general, to have a temple that's just entirely dedicated to it. Okay, now that we have the... I don't know why the purple guys... Excuse me. I don't know why the purple guys drop and just sort of flop around, but the green guys don't. They just hover there. Okay, this is an interesting challenge. So I also don't, like, the vibes of this are weird and confusing to me because we're on this spinning platform. Okay, I need to concentrate. I'm gonna miss it. Can I get it first try? Nice! Perfect. We're on this spinning platform. There's an eyeball there. We are overlooking, we're over this pool of red liquid that looks like a bad smoothie. It seems to be glowing based on the texture of the blocks here, and there are also spikes. What is the architecture of this? Why is this a thing? I think the Forest Temple is really good about, like, surreal architecture. That doesn't make sense. And we're actually about to see a really great example of that. Okay, let's drop down here. Okay, so before we go there, actually, I need to come up here. I think there's just a Skulltula in here. If there is, I'm going to leave, because I don't... Yeah, we're good. We don't need that. We only need the adult's wallet. And I still haven't gotten that. I need to go back to Kakariko Village at some point. Okay, so look at this place. It's this big, empty checkerboard hallway with a collapsing ceiling. Thank you, Navi. That's very helpful of you. So you've got to make your way across as the ceiling is collapsing around you. Okay, so I can rush toward the button. Whoop. There we go. The checkerboard tiles here feel really out of place. It almost has like an Alice in Wonderland feeling to it. And yeah, the ceiling is just collapsing. It's kind of scary. It's the sort of thing that would happen to you in a dream, where the ceiling collapses, the walls randomly close in on you. Okay, oh good, all right. Another spooky challenge. So here's this ghost, right? He doesn't have anywhere to run. He doesn't have any other paintings to go to. If you shoot him, this is one of the most terrifying parts of the game. Because suddenly you're timed, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? What's going on? And you're thrust into this puzzle, this block puzzle, where you gotta push the blocks out of the way, and you're timed, and you don't know what's going to happen if you run out of time. The blocks end up just rearranging themselves, so it's not, like, devastating if you fail. But the first time you do this, you don't know that. For all you know, if you fail this, you could be dead. Oh, is that out of... Oh no, oh no, oh no. No, wait. Oh no, I think I'm going to fail it. Am I? It's gonna be really close. Okay. Oh, come on. We got this. It's so close. Oh! Ah, yes, okay. Oh, see? Like, it shouldn't matter. But I guess it is annoying if you fail. Maybe that's the main thing. Ugh, okay, anyway. Let's talk about the fairy bow. The fairy bow is interesting because, again, I've mentioned how the items Link gathers have to do with the races in the locations where it's gathered, right? The bombs and the Goron bracelet and the Megaton hammer have to do with the power and strength of the Gorons. The long shot, the Zora scale, the boomerang have to do with the movement and like sense of harmony and flowing with the cosmos that the Zora represent. So what about the Kokiri? I don't have a set interpretation, so I'm just kind of talking aloud as I go. This is not part of my outline for this episode. I think the thing that's interesting about the fairy bow specifically is that it's an adult version of the slingshot that Link gets when he's a kid. So I think with the Kokiri, we're thinking more about cycles of life and the passage of time and Link's growth into a mature human being. So if the Kokiri are about life and love and courage and all of those things, thinking about the passage of life makes a lot of sense, the growth toward maturity. And here's the fourth ghost, also engaged in a particular type of illusion. So you gotta shoot the one that moves. Anyway, Link gets the slingshot as a child. It is a childlike item, right? It's a toy. He shoots seeds out of it. But the bow is the weapon of a man, right? The bow, like you hunt with a bow. You go to war with a bow. I can't Z-target him when he's in the wall? That's weird. You don't play with a bow like you do with a slingshot. In that sense, the fact that the bow is just a better version of the slingshot, I think really works thematically because it represents Link growing into maturity. Okay, now we have the weird, surreal elevator here. I think that's probably a good spot to pause. So next time we will fight Phantom Ganon. We've talked a lot about the Sublime this episode. I think that's mostly it. I wandered around because even though I like to think I know this game like the back of my hand, I am not very good at video games. Anyway, until next time.